Hello YouTube, my name's John and today I'm playing Prydon Gate. Prydon Gate is a mod for Quake, which transforms the game into a top-down hack-and-slash RPG, which seems to be heavily inspired by Diablo. In fact, it plays and controls pretty much exactly like Diablo, which I think is pretty astounding. I mean, I've never thought you could actually do something quite like that in the Quake engine, or at least as far as modding is concerned, but nevertheless, it exists. Anyway, how about we just go ahead and hop on in? Let me just show you around here. So here we are in the world of Prydon Gate. As you can see, we have a little mouse cursor here, which is like Diablo, what you use to control your character. So you can click on an area, and your character walks over to that spot. You can also double-click in order to make him run. Or you can just hold down the left mouse button, and you can kind of control him that way if you want. Of course, you also use the mouse pointer to interact with objects like this door here. Also use it to interact with people. So yeah, how about we just explore this little village here and kind of show you around how this place works. So this is a little town we start in. There's all these townsfolk around here. We can talk to this guy. The sewer's been infested by giant bugs. It's horrible down there. But you can also rotate the camera. Unlike Diablo, you can actually change your camera angle. You can rotate the camera by moving the mouse pointer left or right. You can zoom in or zoom out, and this is zooming in by going up and down. There's another person we can talk to. During the night, a large swarm of monsters came in from the forest. It was utter havoc. Anyway, but also like RPGs, not only do we have NPCs to interact with, but of course we have shops we can buy items from. A wide variety of weapons and armor here. So this is really the key thing about this game. So unlike Diablo, where, you know, in Diablo at the beginning of the game, you get to choose your character class. You know, like maybe you want to be a necromancer or a, you know, barbarian, Amazon, what else? Paladin, you know, witch doctor, or, you know, demon hunter, or whatever the fuck. But in this game, you actually only have one character, but you can actually build him however you want. Like, maybe you want to be a character who uses, like, say, this buckler and a saber, and like a melee character who runs around wearing high-level armor, like this ringmail, who can take a lot of punishment like a tank, and can dish it out all the same. Or maybe you're more interested in being more of a ranged character, like maybe using this longbow and some arrows, maybe even some shurikens, like a fucking ninja. Or maybe even some, what do we got over here? Is this, that's a war axe. But we also have javelins. You can throw javelins at people. And you'd probably be wearing something more like leather, like this. Or even throwing axes, or that's a hatchet. You know, but there's plenty of throwing items in this game. Or maybe you're not interested in any of that shit. Maybe you're more into spellcasting. Well, there's a shop for you, too. There's a place here with a wide variety of magical items, like this Book of Ice Blast. Maybe you can learn the Ice Blast spell and freeze your enemies in place. Or maybe you're more interested in the Repel spell, kind of like the, what is it, the Disc of Repulsion in Hexen, where you can push people away. You could do that too. Or maybe you could electrocute your enemies with the Book of Zap. There's also these scrolls here. They're kind of like temporary one-time use spells. So you could do, let's see, there's the Scroll of Poison Ball over here. Let's take a look at that. So this allows you to temporarily use the spell. If you're into spell casting, but you don't learn the spell, you just kind of want to have that spell for the time being. You can see it only has one charge, but it casts a level 7 poison ball. So maybe you're more into spell casting. Also in these shops sometimes can be armor and weapons for a spellcaster, like magic wands, magical robes, things of that nature. So yeah, or, I mean, hell, you could be a combination of these things. Maybe you want to be a melee character who knows just enough magic that he can cast the heal spell on himself. Pretty useful for a guy who's going to be up close and personal. Or maybe you want to be a ranged character who also can cast lightning bolts. Or any combination of those things. That's the beauty of this game. I mean, depending on how you want to build your character, you can be whatever the hell you want. The way you do that, of course, you notice that there's this flashing text here that says new stats. Let's go over that system for a moment here. So there's this whole menu system here that I'll explain how to get to this in a second. But as you can see, we have a wide variety of options here. Let's start with the stat screen, number 1. So here's our status screen. As you can see, we are an adventurer. We are level 1. We only have 12 gold, which is not that much. We only have 1 point of mana, which is also not that much. 27 health, which is, it's decent. We have a 50% chance to dodge attacks. Conversely, we have a 50% chance to hit people. So these two kind of go hand in hand in many ways. We have a 0% chance to block because we are not wearing good armor right now and are not using a shield. We have 0% critical strike, but that can be changed, and I'll explain why later. We have a 5 armor class, AC. Our baseline damage right now is 5 to 11. We only have 1 lowly experience point, and if we get 80 more, we reach level 2. And then, of course, we have all these stats here. Strength, dexterity, intelligence, you can read all that. So what do all these stats do, you might be wondering? Well, specifically, if you wanted to get into the specifics of what they do, if you put points into strength, that increases your baseline damage here, which is what affects melee weapons and ranged weapons and things of that nature. Dexterity increases your chance to hit, so right now it says 50%. If you put points in dexterity, that would go up. Intelligence, as you can probably imagine, increases your mana pool, which allows you to more efficiently use magic spells. So those are kind of the three primary stats. I mean, there's kind of three archetypes of characters in this game, kind of like I was mentioning. Ranged characters, melee characters, spellcasters, but again, the difference is how you kind of shape that piece of clay, so to speak. But then there's secondary stats, as I usually call them. There's vitality, which increases your health pool. There's agility, which increases your chance to dodge. And then there's luck. So luck is a peculiar stat. I'm not actually entirely sure what it does. I mean, I know for a fact that it can increase your hit chance. I'm also wondering if it does things like, I don't know, like maybe it makes items drop more frequently, or honestly, I don't really know what luck does. I do know this. So if you put enough points into a particular stat, like let's say we put 15 points into strength, we would actually gain a perk. So right now our title is adventurer. If you put 15 points into strength, our title would change to fighter, and we would have an increased, our melee damage would just have a baseline increase. If we put 15 points into dexterity, for example, we would actually gain critical strike. Put 15 points into intelligence, then we actually, and our title for that, by the way, dexterity, would be Slayer. But if we put 15 points into intelligence, our title becomes Mage, or Wizard, and not only do we have an increased mana pool, but we also can regenerate mana all the time. So here's what I know about luck. If you put 15 points into luck, shopkeepers actually have reduced prices for you, so at least there's that. Honestly, I've never tried putting 15 points into vitality or agility, so I don't know exactly what perks you get for that. But hell, maybe you could try that out if you play this game. So yeah, but this is really how you build your character, because as you can see here, let's look at this longbow. As you can see, it requires 25 points in dexterity. So if you want to be a ranged class, you're going to want to put points in the dexterity, because that's the only way you can use things like bows, or even things like these shurikens here. See, we need 12 points in dexterity to use these throwing attacks, which is throwing ninja fucking stars, which is fucking awesome. Conversely, there's these things like this. Greaves, you need 18 points of strength in order to use these, plate mail greaves. As opposed to, and there's actually leather boots here as well. Don't really need any stats to wear boots. Anybody can wear boots. For things like, this war axe, we're gonna need strength and dexterity. And then you'll notice back there in the magic shop, if I could actually walk through the fucking door. Back here in the magic shop, you'll notice that all these things required intelligence, right? If you want to learn the book of Ice Blast, you're going to need 15 points in intellect. So that's kind of how you build your play style. Like, if you want to be a spellcaster, you're going to need to put points in intellect. If you want to be a melee character, sometimes the camera is finicky. It's a mod and it's in beta, so, But yeah, that's how you kind of determine how you play the game, is by spending these stat points here. Anyway, let's keep going down the list here. Of course, we have an inventory. Like, what good RPG would not have an inventory? But this also serves as your equip screen. As you can see, these items in red, this is what we're wearing right now. We're wearing Ethiel's robe, which gives us 3 defense. It has a 6 durability. So that means items can break if they take enough damage. And yes, it is in fact equipped. You can unequip it here. You can also scroll through your items this way. We also have the Cheap Club of Fireball. As long as the Cheap Club of Fireball is equipped, so it has the suffix of Fireball, it adds 1 to the Fireball spell. So as long as we have this weapon equipped, we can cast the Fireball spell. But as you saw back in the mana shop, or the magic shop, you can actually permanently learn spells. But anyway, this also gives us 4 to 9 damage. It has a durability of 8. So again, not the greatest thing, but it's just enough to kind of get you started when you're starting out in the world. As you also see, numbers 3 and 4 are spells 1 and spells 2. There are a grand total of 16 spells in this game. Anything from fireballs to ice blasts, kind of like what we saw in the shop. There's also poison balls, electric spells. Eventually you can do spells that can summon monsters to do your bidding, or even calling forth a giant tornado to whirl your enemies around and fling them all over the place. Yes, you can actually do that. Or heal spells, repel spells, warping spells, teleportation, all sorts of different spells that you can choose from. And they're all listed here in numbers 3 and 4. You'll go into this magic shop, and if I can open the frickin' door, there we go. It's not always that clunky, although sometimes the controls can be a bit finicky. Lady, you're gonna have to move. Thank you. So after you learn a spell, like let's say we go over here and, oh here, we'll buy the Book of Zap, or let's just say we had enough money to buy it. So you'd buy that book and then you would use it, and that book would show up in your spell inventory. As you can see right now, actually we have the Fireball spell, because like I mentioned, we have that, you know, club of Fireball. So you press 1, and now the spell is equipped. So now it says Spell Fireball, as you can see there. So that's how you use spells. You have this whole list of spells exclusive to just that. Here's the skills menu. I was talking about those perks. Right now we just have increased experience because we're an adventurer, but that would change if we start putting enough stat points and stuff. You get a new perk every 15 points you put into a particular stat, by the way. We also have the quest log. Our current quest is to find Arana and Pendinas, south of Cabal Curig, which is the village we're in right now, and bring her to safety. So that's where our quests will show up whenever we get a new quest or an updated quest or things like that. You can also drop gold if you're playing in co-op mode. Yes, you can play in co-op mode online. I don't know if there's any active servers for it, but you can certainly play this game with your friends is the point. You can also have the options here of going to the console in case you don't have that bound to your key. So, actually, I'm not even quite sure what the hell this is. But that was something interesting. Anyway, and then there's the options menu. You can have always show spell, mouse rotate on or off, quest notice on or off, verbose, or verbose. I don't know, I'm gonna turn that on. I'm not even quite sure exactly what that does. But yeah, that's the menu system. So in order to access the menu, by the way, this is kind of important, some key bindings. So I have the menu bound to spacebar. This is the command you need to type in order to use this thing. So you don't have to bind it to spacebar, but as long as you use that command, main menu, all one word. So I bound it to the spacebar. Also worth noting, I bound the mouse 2 or right mouse button to jump. Believe it or not, in this game, jumping equates to cast a magic spell. So left mouse is attack, right mouse is cast a magic spell. A couple of extra key bindings for you that are actually important. Binding H to heal. This automatically uses one of these health potions if you happen to have one. So you can kind of heal yourself in a pinch if you really need to. Also, I bound M to mana. So these are the commands you want to use, and you want to set up these key bindings when you first start the game. So yeah, as you can imagine, pressing the M key, in my case, will automatically use a mana potion, like this one over here. So yeah, that is pretty much all there is. Well, no, there's also some other stuff. There's this treasure chest here. This is literally straight from Diablo. So you know how in Diablo there was always a treasure chest in the middle of town that you could store items into? That's pretty much exactly what this is. You can deposit or withdraw items in here. So maybe you go in the shop and you're like, hey, that looks cool, but I can't use it yet. But I can afford it, so I'm gonna buy it and put it in my community chest. And this thing follows you around like to every town in the game, so pretty much. So yeah, if you ever have something you want to put away in storage, well, here you go. I'm gonna take a water break. Holy crap, I'm talking a lot. Ugh. There's a lot to explain in this game, but that's kind of the cut and dry of it. There's also this unusual building here, as you can see. The private property, keepeth thou out. We try to go in there, it's locked. Well, man, my throat is dry as fuck. But hey, it's hard work trying to explain this mod, but it's a fantastic mod. By the way, this is an innkeeper, so this is kind of important. Unlike Quake, where you can just, hey, you know, new game, save your game. No, you cannot do that in this mod. Believe it or not, the only way to save your game is by talking to an innkeeper, like this lady. And it costs 5 gold to do so. Like literally, this is the only way to save your game. Check this out. Here, let's actually save our game properly. Bloop. So now our game is saved. Now check out what would happen if I actually just like, oh, okay. How about I just fucking save my game here? Let's try to load that game. You must use the N to save. So now that game is basically broken. So don't do that. You can only save your game at an N. Sometimes the volume changes whenever you enter a new area. So before we actually get started in the game proper, let me show you a couple of advanced characters that I've been building, just kind of give you a demonstration of what you can do in this game. Let's first show off a melee character. Alright. This guy, as you can see, has some pretty crazy looking armor. I've kind of built him to be kind of a tank melee character. As you can see, he has a flail and a giant shield. Let's take him out for some action. Let's go in these sewers here. So he's wearing some pretty high-tech armor right now, so... Hold on. Get out of the way of that little bump. Now watch this. All these characters are trying to attack him, but he's taking very little damage because he's wearing some kick-ass armor. You might occasionally hear like kind of a ting sound. That means I'm blocking because I'm wearing a shield. These things are so low level though compared to this guy. I think he's like level 20. That they just can't do shit to him. Of course, he's not the greatest at aiming things, but I didn't build him in that way. I built him to be a fucking tank. So as you can see, he's just an unstoppable force of tankiness. He's pretty fucking badass. So that's kind of what you do with a melee character. I've put a shitload of points into strength, 77 points to be exact. A little bit of vitality, of course, because every good tank needs some health. And a little bit of dexterity, just enough to give him a 10% critical strike chance. But, and a little bit of agility here and there. Just kind of some slight things here and there. But he's level 21, in fact. He's an experienced knight. As you can see, I mean, he's wearing some knightly armor. He's pretty badass. Anyway, how about I show off a more spellcasting type of character? This is one of my mage characters. So as you can see, he has a magical wand there, or kind of a magical scepter. Now this guy has a wide variety of spells to choose from, as you can see. He has a fireball spell, zap spell, ice blast, warping, poison ball, leech life, heal, and shield. Let me just show off what all these spells do. Alright, so let's start with the good old fireball spell. Well, this is kind of a higher level fireball spell, level 5 fireball spell. It fires out multiple fireballs at once. Lower level versions of it, of course, don't do that. Pretty damn powerful. Also notice that my magic down here, this is my magic pool, it's constantly regenerating because I am a spellcaster. Let's try out a different spell. The Zap Spell. Alright, let's pull all these guys together. Because this thing can hit multiple targets if you level it up far enough. There we go, hit 2 people at once. Both of them at once. But oh, that one didn't bounce. He also has a magical scepter, in case he needs to do melee attacks, which also does frost and fire damage at the same time. As you can see, I froze him and lit him on fire. Oh, not enough mana, but thankfully I can press M and replenish my mana. There we go. Let's try out a different spell. Let's see. The Poison Ball spell. Just poison enemies. Notice that he's taking damage over time. 1, dead. Let's poison both of these fuckers. Now you're poisoned, and you're on fire, and you're frozen. It's ridiculous. Leech life, as you can imagine, steals health from enemies and gives it to you. There we go. Now I have 86 instead of 76. Let's see. I mean, there's the heal spell, of course. You can probably guess what that does. The shield spell casts a magical shield on top of you. Ice blast spell. I mean, we kind of already know what this does. Freezes people and shatter them into a million pieces. And here's some more advanced spells, like the summon spell, where we can summon a magical creature to do our bidding for us. We just summoned our own bug to attack. Yes, kill that thing. Good job. Doing so well. Oh, he died. Here's another one for you. Or, of course, let's see. We also have the Twister spell. We can summon a magical fucking tornado. So much fun. Sometimes it kills things, most of the time. Now, remember, this is the Quake engine, so there's Quake physics in this game. So if you happen to be on a bridge, that's a great spell to cast, because then you can fling people off of the bridge and they fall to their deaths. So that's a lot of fun to use. Let's see. I already showed off the Zap spell. The Warp spell. So this can take you back to the beginning of the dungeon. There we are. Now we're back at the beginning. There's also a spell called Teleport that I don't think I have on me right now, but that allows you to literally just, wherever you point the cursor, you can right-click, and you'll show up right there. Do I need to heal? A little bit, apparently. Alright. So yeah, that's a good example of a spellcasting character. But I figured for this playthrough, because I am in fact going to do a playthrough of this entire game, because there's quite a few areas and towns and quests to take on. I figured I would play more of a ranger character who uses bows and arrows and things of that nature. So, I don't know, I have a lot of fun playing a character like that. There's a wide variety of options to choose from, and it's just kind of cool just running around with a bow and arrow and just attacking things like that. So, anyway, yeah. That's kind of the cut and dry of Prydon Gate. I'm actually going to go ahead and stop it here as far as part 1 is concerned, but in the next episode, we'll start getting into the game proper and actually learning the story, seeing what's going on, doing the quests, killing monsters, killing bosses, things of that nature. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching Prydon Gate. Again, it's going to continue on from here as I do a Let's Play, so don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you on part 2, where we start taking on the game. Alright, later.